One of the tasks that you may need to do if you're in the foundation phase of the school or in the junior primary is to edit and manage the learning outcomes and assessment standards. Typically, if you're in the foundation phase, you will be using learning outcomes and assessment standards, and if you're in the intermediate phase, you will probably only be using learning outcomes. Let's start off by managing some learning outcomes. The first thing we need to do is to choose our subject. Then we need to choose a grade. Click on Next. A list of the learning outcomes will be displayed if there is a list. If you want to add a new learning outcome, you can add one using the option at the bottom of the screen. If you want to change the order of the learning outcomes, all you need to do is to change the numbering associated with those learning outcomes. Please be careful when editing the names of your learning outcomes because it could impact past reports which are based on those learning outcomes. And if you change the meaning, you are potentially changing the meaning in those past reports. You must have a number and you must have a name. The description is optional. When you're done, click on Save Learning Outcomes. If I return to edit those learning outcomes, you'll notice now that the writing and phonics and spelling have switched place because I changed their numbers. Let's now edit the assessment standards. Adam provides us with a shortcut to go into editing the assessment standards. Underneath each learning outcome, the assessment standards are listed. Again, to add a new assessment standard, click on the option and a new line will be added in. To change the order of assessment standards, simply change the numbering. If you don't want particular assessment standards to show for a particular term, you can simply deselect the checkbox and that assessment standard will be hidden. To enable it again, all you need to do is click on the checkbox. What you should be looking to do is to build up a comprehensive list of learning outcomes and then simply enable or disable the ones that you require each term. Once you've finished editing, click on the Save Assessment Standards button at the bottom and you can then carry on editing either other assessment standards or back on the Subjects tab, edit a different subject's learning outcomes. To get a list of all of your learning outcomes and assessment standards, click on the option at the bottom. If I choose English language once again, here I have listed, in this case, all of the learning outcomes and assessment standards